How's lads? As promised, top five horror films. Now, these are my top five horror films. I'm not saying they're the best in the world, but personally, anyway, let's just get into it. Number five, a recent one, A Quiet Place, with Emily Blunt and John Chris, your man from The Office, who's gone rail buff now. No spoilers. It's very very good. It's as you suggest. It's Quiet Place. It's exceptionally. It's quiet. But if you haven't seen it yet, they're in a post-apocalyptic world. There's stuff going around, and you can't make noise. That's what attracts stuff. It's very old school. It's just based on tension, nervousness, and the ability not being able to speak. It's really, really, really good. The opening 5-10 minutes is kind of sets up the rest of the story. It's very good. Blunt's amazing. Krasinski's amazing. The kids are brilliant. It's quite scary. There's a couple of scenes in it that are really, really good. And the sequel's out, obviously, with what's going on. I haven't seen it. But Cillian, it's Killian, cop on. Killian Murphy is in it with Emily Blunt. Krasinski is not in it. He's directing, though. And you give it a watch. It's on DVD, Blu ray, and probably on Sky. It's on Netflix as well. Enjoy. Number four would be a trilogy, which would be Romero's Dead Trilogy. Oh, yeah. Zombie apocalypse goodness. Uh, Phenomenal films. The first film, Night of the Living Dead, it's set up so much. First black hero. He was a boss. First time I was ever terrified by a child in a horror film. The little one with the big, terrifying. Romero, the second one, then in the mall, then Day of the Dead. Oh, it's so good, so good. Um, just tropes there they're still used today, like a zombie film. Kind of created a zombie genre. There was stuff around before then, but this kind of then there's Italian stuff with Brava and stuff. But this is culturally more the one that people will be aware of, like 1911. It was remade in 1990 ish. I want to say 92 by Tom Savini, who's a special effects god. He's really good. It's okay. It's just basically not shot by shot, but a remake of the first film, Night of the Living Dead, in colour. It's okay. It's grand. But seek these out. I got this in Extra Vision. It's very good. I must watch them again, actually, what's going on nowadays, because it's probably going to happen again soon, what with the, coronavirus and all the zombies. Number three, a film that I showed to a friend of mine in Aberystwyth in university. I told them all, or it was the scariest film of all time, possibly. They didn't feel that at all. It is based off Ed Gein and his skin lamps and his weird fetish for killing people. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, an absolute beast of a film. Tobe Hooper is the director, who also directed Poltergeist. Don't fight me. It wasn't Steven Spielberg. It was. No, I'm telling you a lie. I apologise. It was Spielberg. It was Spielberg. Hooper's name is on it, but Spielberg is all over it. Anyway, Chainsaw Massacre, Leatherface, this guy. Basically, Ed Gein, the family of weirdos. Guy, and there's one girl and three fellas, and there's a death in this which I have never wanted more in my life. Franklin, bit of a spoiler. Franklin, he's the most annoying human of all time, but he dies spectacularly. It's great. It's not as gory as you would think. It's very, very clean for an R-rated film, but the soundtrack, the creaking of the crickets, the crunching of the chainsaw, the schlock of the hammer, the bop, the bone, it's so good. It's so good. Mightn't be technically what you call scary nowadays, but it was kind of the first film to feature the final girl, which is a concept that's been brought in since before this. The final girl was Sally in it. She was the final girl. It's been rolled out countless decades since. There's always one left in a horror film. It's the final girl in a horror film. She was kind of the original, the OG, if you will. And Leatherface, of course, played by Gunnar Hansen, who went mental in the suit, apparently. You can see why he wore the same costume for days, and it's caked in dry fake blood. And it's a phenomenal film. Really heavy, terrifying but uplifting ending. I'd recommend giving it a watch. It's very good. If you're into horror films, you've probably seen it. If not, go check it out. There's a mental sequel with Dennis Hopper in it. It's phenomenal. Go see it. The remake a couple of years back, wasn't atrocious. It was fine. I enjoyed it immensely. And there's another prequel called Leatherface, which gives a backstory to Leatherface, which I don't need. It's like Rob Zombie's terrible Halloween remake, where you're like, "I'm Michael Myers. I'm mental. Here's why." You're just mental. Myers is mental. Leatherface is mental. I don't need to know why I'm not. I stopped dumbing stuff down. I don't need to know. Everything doesn't need a backstory. Leave it out of it. Rob Zombie, get the fuck. Number two, saw it in the cinema 2 Halloweens ago. It was in Wexford. It's technically not a horror film. It's based on a book by Stephen King, which he hated this version. Big surprise. There's also a TV version which King directed himself, which is around 75 hours long because he gets everything in from the film from the book, sorry, into the film. This is Kubrick's version, which is amazing. Not scary, but it deals with isolation, people going mental in houses. It's happening now, not all over the world. Hopefully, I don't want any jacks running around, but the Shannon, shh, he wants to get sued. It's it's so good, so much going on here. It's the twins, obviously, terrifying. Jack's isolation, he's slow descent into madness. You're questioning the whole thing. Is it really happening? Is he drunk all the time? Is it just, and just so, but it's so good. It's so good. The blood coming down the elevators. Shelley Duvall, again, another death I couldn't wait for. She was so annoying in this film. Just axe her in the forehead, mate. Just axe her. Yeah, The Shining. It's always on around Halloweenish. It's on Sky and stuff. DVD was cheap enough. You probably pick it up online somewhere. And number one, and you're probably all aware of this. If not, I'm going to tell you now. I saw this film first when I was 12 years old. I got it with Power Brian, who's dead now. That's irrelevant, but I miss him. Good friend of mine. I picked it up in Extravision. I had this film on video, 2 DVDs, and now Blu-ray. I picked it up. I went home. We watched it. Mum and Dad were out of the house. I don't know what was going on. They were away somewhere. I didn't sleep for 2 weeks and the film was scary itself, but there was a thing on at the start of the cassette, the VHS version, which was 2 trailers that weren't released because they were deemed too scary. Just white and black images with a drone of noise behind it. Just flash, terrifying. This is the Blu-ray of The Exorcist. I know, look, you might think, oh, everyone says that, but personally, again, for me, it's personal. It is possibly the greatest horror film ever made, and it's not even, it goes beyond horror for me. It's a film about little girl gets possessed, obviously, but to me, that's always been just the bones of the story. The real crux of it for me is Karras, the younger priest, losing his faith as a human and as a Christian, not being able to defend himself, not being able to protect his mother, protect his family, and he's dealt a bad hand, if you will, but he's losing his faith. He's losing his faith with humanity, with faith. He's using faith with everything. What's the point in being a priest? What's the point in doing good? And in the end of the film, if you haven't seen it, I won't ruin it. It's just, and Von Sydow, who died recently, is in it, who coincidentally has makeup on to age his face, and he looked like that a couple of weeks ago before he died. He was 40 making this. He meant to look really old, but the effects are phenomenal. They look really, I don't care what you say. It's years ago. They look awesome. It was all done by hand, and you can tell. There's a director's commentary on the Blu-ray, which is amazing, by Freakin', one by Blatty. The sequel, Exorcist 2, is batshit crazy and it's terrible. Linda Blair's back, but Exorcist 3 Legion, directed by Blatty and written, is a phenomenal film. Loads of callbacks, and coincidentally Brad Dourif is in it, who was Chucky in Chucky. He plays the Gemini killer in it. But The Exorcist, if you haven't seen it, go out of your way to watch it. It's a the scariest film of all time on a Blu-ray. Yeah, that's a matter of opinion, but it is really, 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 really good. Anyway, wash your hands, stay safe, and if you find something like The Shining going on in the house, hide the axes. And before I go, the perfect place for a zombie apocalypse is Eurogiant in Scorty. Used to be SuperValu. 3 reasons. 1, there's 2 generators in-house. 2, you could probably get a zip wire across to Herbie Murphy's to get food. And 3, the doors outside only open from the inside, so they can't get in. Have a good day. Have a good week. Stay safe. Happy Easter. Good luck.